Hello, and welcome to the final segment of How I Did That, Phewa Lake. This is your host, Stephen Begleiter, and this is where we ended off in our last video. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do this all in one take, and I'm going to hit my control key. And as you can see, when I hit my control key, I'm going to edit this in Adobe Photoshop for the final cleanup. And when I do that, I want to make sure that I want to edit a copy of it with all my Lightroom adjustments. So be sure you have that one marked. And as Adobe Lightroom opens up, we begin. So also, I'm going to be using, you won't see it on camera, but I'm using a Wacom pen. Some people call it Wacom, I call it Wacom, to do a lot of the changes. It's really quite nice in my little tablet. So in this image, the first thing I always do is I hit Command J, and as you can see in the right, I now have another layer. It's always important to work on a second layer, or a third layer, etc., rather than on the master layer, the tools I'm using. So let's go back here. So I'll go to the left side, and I'm going to simply go to my spot healing tool, and you can see it in action. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the size of my brush to about 82, just to make it big enough. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint over these branches because I want to get rid of those. They're a bit of a distraction. I'm actually going to increase the spacing a little bit and increase the size of the brush. So and get a much cleaner, but as you can see, what it does is it samples the pixels around it and it kind of cleans it up so it's gone. And it's a really easy way to get rid of things that you don't want. Paint that out. I still see a little bit of branches in there with the letter L. I'm going to actually circle all the branches I want to get rid of, and by holding down the shift key, you'll see that a plus will appear next to the lasso tool. I'm just going to circle all this residual. And we'll get rid of these branches too. And the thing I like about this is you can do it all at once. So the other thing I didn't like in this photograph was this floating bottle piece of garbage. Pretty sad, huh? So I'm going to circle that. And that's a bird, actually. We can get rid of that. So I circled that, and there's actually something way off in the distance. So I'm going to get rid of that too. So I have a lot of little circles, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take another look. I'm going to get rid of this object too. I'm not quite sure what it is. But you can kind of go through and say, I don't want that, I don't want that. So the other thing then you would do is I'm going to hit the Shift Delete key, and this brings up my content aware box, and I'm going to make sure that I have the color adaptation checked and my mode is normal, 100% opacity, and I'm going to hit OK. And what you'll see in probably 30 seconds or less is it's working to get rid of all those unnecessary things that were in the photograph. And as you can see, everything's kind of disappeared. I'll hit the Command D key and I get rid of all those marching ants, but that's pretty clean. There's still a little more up here that I'll probably get rid of. Just little lines up here. But it's a really quick tool to get rid of unwanted objects and things. And now that I'm looking at this a little closer, I'm actually going to get rid of this. And once again, I'm going to hit the Shift Delete key, and then I'm going to hit OK. And that's pretty good. There's still, I see there's a little, I'm going to hit the Z key for zoom. And I can see there's a little bit. And when I hold down the space bar, brings up the hand. Oh, I can see there's quite a bit up here. So I'm going to go back to my lasso tool and see how this works. I'll just circle all these, but remember you have to hold down the Command key And once I have all this area selected, I'm going to go back to the space key, hold it down, and once again that hand comes up. I'm just going to kind of look around in the water and see if there's anything else I want to get rid of. Yeah, there's this over here. So make sure you hold down the shift key. I'm going to circle that, and I'm going to circle that, and hold down the space key, move around a little bit more, and I think everything looks pretty good now. I got rid of all the extraneous things that I don't want. So I'm going to back up by hitting Command 0, and now I can see the old thing. And then when I hit the Shift Delete key, I get my content aware filter again, and I'm going to hit OK. And let the computer do its work. And everything's gone. So Command D eventually will get rid of those walking ants. So that's pretty good. So I'm going to show you the before. Right? And usually I have the pad, the Wacom pad in front of me, so it's a little bit of a coordination thing right now. So I'm going to come out here, and then I'm going to connect it. And now you can see I have sort of the marching ants around it. So I'm going to, once again, I'm going to label this additional one as sky. And what I want to do here is I just want to make it look a little bit richer. So there's many ways to do it. But for this instance, what I want to do is I want to actually add a little more to hit the Command M, and it brings up my curves. And I'm going to basically take my eyedropper, and I can see where that color is, and you can see as I move into the darker colors, the circle moves on the line. So I kind of want to darken the midtone. So I'm going to place my cursor there, and I'm just going to bring it down a bit, just to make it a little more richer. And now you can see how the sky is sort of darkening a little bit more. I also noticed that this is a bit bright for me, so I'm going to see where that is, and bring it down, just like if I had a gray filter on that. There you go. There. And so I'll show you before and after. It's subtle, but it works for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my selection tool, and I'm going to inverse. So now the water is selected, and I'm going to hit my Command M again, and I'm going to play with the luminosity of the water. So I'm going to just open it up a little bit, because I felt it was a bit too dark and I was losing some of the colors. And I'm going to kind of give it a tight twist. But as you can see, the only thing that's changing is the water. So let's see what it looked before. Kind of dull. And then now I kind of bring it up and make it reflective. So, that's good enough for me. I'm going to maybe sharpen it a little bit. So I'm going to go back into my filters on top, and I am going to sharpen. Shake reduction is kind of fun, but for now I'm just going to sharpen the edges. Just get a little more crisper. And that's it. They're very subtle changes. Most of it was done in Lightroom. But as you can see, that's where I started, and then I got rid of all the extra debris, and then I just added more luminosity into the water. I'll hit Control D. Something I'm going to do, actually, it's a good idea, is I'm going to go to my selection tool, and I'm going to save the selection. So if I do want to go back to it, I don't have to, select it again. So I'm going to call this Phewa water, and leave it as is. Hit OK. And that's it. Hit Control D. And then here's what also I like about Photoshop Lightroom marriage. I'm going to close it. Well, so let's say I want to just exit out, quit Photoshop, and then I'll say save changes, and I'll say save. And as it saves, it actually places it back into the Lightroom module. So when I hit my letter G in the Lightroom module, now you can see the different versions. I felt this was a little over the top. And this is the one, I'll select this and this one, so you can see them side by side. But you can see the difference. It just kind of like brought up the water, darkened the sky a little bit. And you know, there's so many ways you can play with something like this, so it's kind of endless, but that's basically how I did it. And then it's in Lightroom, so I don't have to worry about it. And you can see this is kind of like something that I did that was way over the top and not very good, so you can't go overboard. So it's all very subtle, and I'll bring those two up again. But you can see how the left, by getting rid of all these branches and all that debris and stuff like that, you know, it becomes more of a painterly kind of photograph. And there you go. That's the lesson for today. Thanks for watching. And if you want more details, please purchase my book, Photographic Lighting for Everybody. All right, have a good day. Bye.